And President Trump could be leaving for court any minute now for more jury selection in his New York City hush money case. And there is a media frenzy as news outlets aim to cover every moving part of it in the first ever criminal trial of a former U.S. president. The close attention to Trump's trial leading media critic Steve Krakauer to lay out 5 rules for covering Trump in 2024, as he believes, quote, several of the worst media habits of the Trump era are already rematerializing. Among the rules, pushing journalists to be more precise, showing instead of telling, steering clear of emotional reporting, embracing introspection, and focusing on what's happening now instead of what could happen in the future. The author, NewsNation media contributor, Steve Krakauer, joins me now. Steve, always good to have you. I was reading your article last night, a little light reading before I went to bed. It's a great article, but I thought to myself, isn't it sad, right, that you have to even issue these kinds of reminders, like the power of precision?
Yeah, I think it is. But look, this is where we are. And I do think that Donald Trump was the, he's the elephant in the room. He's kind of the accelerator of a lot of the worst habits in the media. But I think it actually goes back before him. I think that the rise of social media has steered people away from maybe their equilibrium, maybe their center on a lot of this. And so, yes, as an example, taking that last rule, what may happen is not actually news. I was looking just over these last 15 minutes at the chyrons on the bottom of the screen. People can see what they are telling you when you're watching NewsNation is what happened or what is happening currently. But what you so often see, and this is such a tell for the viewers of America, is what may happen, this speculation. That's something that people may want to talk about and gossip about, but that is not news. And that's just one small area that we've seen this drift in the last 5 to 10 years across the media world.
Yeah, none of us has a crystal ball. So, yeah, agreed. What's happening right now? In the midst of the former president's criminal trial that is ongoing, today's day 3 of jury selection, what stuck out to you so far when it comes to the news coverage?
I think a couple things. I think that we are getting, in some areas that maybe shouldn't be doing it, a little bit more of a emotional type reporting. I think that this is and obviously, anytime you get Donald Trump in a news story, he is the star of it. There are people that have very strong opinions about them, and a lot of them are in the corporate media newsrooms that we see in New York and D.C. So I think we're getting a lot of that. But I actually think it goes back to the first rule more than anything else. Power of precision. Be very precise about this. This is not just one in a long list of criminal trials, although potentially it is. But the audience that follows the news or that tunes into the news, that maybe says, oh, Donald Trump's on trial, let me go find out what happened today. They don't need to hear that it's this 1 of 4 or, he's a potential felon. Like, get to the specifics of it. And I think that when you actually get to specifics, when you get to really precise reporting, the audience appreciates that. They want to know very specifically what happened. They need the context to it because unlike you and I and a lot of these people in the newsrooms and a lot of journalists today, they're not necessarily tuning in 24 hours a day and on X and scrolling. I mean, they want to just get the understanding of what actually happened.
And you bring up a good point that makes me, beg the question. You say a lot of people saying, okay, well, what happened today? Let me tune in and see what everyone's talking about. There aren't cameras in the courtroom. How much of a disservice do you think that is during a first of its kind trial like this during an election year?
I think it makes it infinitely harder to follow these rules, to be honest. I think if it was able for people to, the audience, to see with their own 2 eyes exactly what happened as it happened, that would really go a long way. I'm a big proponent of cameras in the courtroom. I think that it absolutely should be. I know in the potential in the Atlanta trial, potentially in the D.C. trial, we may get cameras if and when those happen. But yes, no, I think that's always better because then what you get is this laundered version of the truth through different media outlets, depending on where you go, and they might spin it one way or the other, even if it's the same facts that we're dealing with. So yes, I think cameras in the courtroom are great for transparency. Transparency is great for growing trust with an audience.
Yeah, and I think it helps some people come to terms with what the eventual outcome of this will be, whether that's 6 to 8 weeks, if not longer. Steve Krakauer, always good to have you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.